Dear Sir or Madam, ENV for Nature Vietnam. I am attempting to express my concerns in a polite manner, though I have my doubts as to whether you are willing to address them. You likely already know the subject of my message. I am the operator of Freedom for Kaka, MIT, and Puka on Facebook and YouTube. My members and friends, who thankfully support this cause, stand firmly by me and, most importantly, by the family of Kaka, MIT, and Puka. We have no intentions of ever ceasing our efforts to search for Kaka, MIT, and Puka, and we will continue to assist the family in every possible way. What we do not understand are the reasons behind your decision to remove the monkeys from their familiar environment and release them onto an island, a place entirely foreign to them. As for MIT and Puka, we don't even know their current whereabouts, nor does it seem you possess the courtesy to offer an explanation. It is truly baffling why you choose to behave so unkindly and refuse to provide even a single answer to these pressing questions. Throughout my life, I have encountered many people driven by hatred, envy, spite, and unkindness. Please don't take this the wrong way, but you surpass them all. The level of stubbornness, lack of courtesy, and, I must say, arrogance that I have experienced here is unmatched. You actively promote your organization and Vietnam with great fanfare. However, I must be honest, it all feels like a facade. What is presented to people appears to be nothing more than cleverly crafted advertising and sugar-coated falsehoods. Vietnam itself is undoubtedly a beautiful country, but the system in place is deeply contemptuous towards both humans and animals. You proudly display the confiscation of numerous animals on your website, and while we do acknowledge the good work you may often do, the confiscation of Kaka, MIT, and Puka is a different matter. These were animals that were well cared for, grew up with children, and had everything they needed. This was not a rescue in our opinion, it seemed motivated by reasons unrelated to actual animal welfare. Why not simply admit that there may have been some personal grievance against these families? What was the real reason behind the sudden confiscation of these monkeys? Moreover, why did you, back in July 2024, allow a questionable young individual to visit Kaka, MIT, and Puka in your enclosure, film them, and even post the footage? You then placed blame on Nak Ho, accusing him of violating an agreement not to make or share pictures or videos of these animals, but at the same time allowed this scammer to do exactly that. The whole situation is remarkably troubling and makes it apparent something wasn't right. We have contacted you several times via email, letters with cards, and through platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and other social media channels. Regardless of whether we approached you kindly, firmly, loudly, or softly, you never deemed it necessary to respond. And when you did, it was only to post on your website or take pride in confiscating those monkeys, who were then left waiting for their supposed release in cages hanging from the ceiling or on filthy tables. Let me tell you this politely, your actions make it hard to believe in your commitment to animal welfare. The way these monkeys are treated after being confiscated, supposedly waiting for release, appears more like they are being funneled to laboratories or other cruel breeding facilities. The practice of capturing monkeys in Vietnam, subsequently selling them in markets, and keeping them confined in small cages until they are transported to laboratories or subjected to other forms of mistreatment appears deeply troubling. Every year, multiple flights depart from Vietnam to various destinations, carrying these animals towards unspeakable suffering, often in research facilities. I am personally familiar with the fate that awaits them, having participated in the rescue of several animals in 2019. The images and videos I have encountered documenting these scenarios are indelibly etched in my memory. This experience profoundly shapes my perspective and leaves me unable to understand the methods employed in certain so-called rescue practices. When one examines the darker realities associated with Vietnam, it becomes clear that there is a selective acknowledgement of issues, with certain facts being ignored or deliberately overlooked. It is challenging to reframe these sentiments differently, as they express profound frustration. However, I shall attempt to convey them respectfully. Reflecting upon how certain animals are allowed to perish on the streets of Vietnam evokes a deep sense of dismay. This treatment appears to be not only deeply inhumane but also a display of cruelty devoid of compassion. This concern extends to all animals, including dogs, cats, goats, birds, essentially every creature. It seems that in Vietnam, the welfare of animals carries little significance, provided they can ultimately serve a purpose such as being prepared for consumption. At this juncture, one must ask, where are those who profess to advocate for animal rescue? What steps are being taken to protect and save these lives? Do these animals not possess sentience, feelings, or even an intrinsic essence deserving of dignity? It should be apparent that, through acts of seizure or confiscation, the harm burdened upon the animals is far greater than any disciplinary intent toward the involved families, though this action might appear rooted in personal grievances. However, it is the animals, Kaka, mit, Puka, who suffer most profoundly, as they are forcibly removed from their familiar environment under claims of regulation. Moreover, appeals to so-called licenses remain inconsistent, with implications that such frameworks may not even exist within local context. A coherent and transparent resolution is imperative. The prevailing approach appears to be laden with contradictions and veiled motives that project dishonesty and hypocrisy. Such actions call for critical reflection and demand a more ethical and sincere commitment to addressing the evident plight of these animals. I don't want to elaborate further, as it seems to me that you live in a world where you believe you're above everything, where anything brought up against you or envy for nature is simply ignored. You seem to prefer being praised, and the more stars on your shoulders, the higher your standing in Vietnam, isn't that right? I have genuinely tried to be friendly. Truly, I consider myself a warm-hearted person. However, my emotions quickly fade when it comes to matters concerning animals, hypocrisy, and lies. Unfortunately, these issues seem to apply to your case. Frankly, I couldn't care less how much promotion you do for your organization or for Vietnam. Any kind of advertisement always highlights the bright side while conveniently hiding the shadows. And if you choose to showcase only the bright side, then it's up to others to reveal the darker aspects. We struggle to understand how little empathy you seem to have for these families and children, how little compassion and heart you show, and how detached or devoid of genuine emotion you appear. What do you even tell your own children at home when they see videos of a little girl or boy crying their heart out, grieving for their friends, Kaka, mit, and Puka? What kind of person behaves in this way? How can one be so cold, so unfeeling, and so unscrupulous? Surely, you're aware that the harm you've caused to the animals far outweighs whatever difficulties you've imposed on the family. Yet somehow, it seems as though you're so deeply entrenched in the system that it has stripped away any vestige of human emotion. Initially, I had intended to release these lines or this video in the Vietnamese language as well. However, I trust you will understand my reasoning here. If it is possible to ambush and remove monkeys from their natural habitat, transport them from one place to another, and inflict such immense psychological and physical harm upon them, then I believe you are capable of translating these words or this video on your own. We will not give up. We will continue to expose the dark sides of Vietnam and the suffering animals endure on its streets. Our fight for Kaka, mit, and Puka will persist, loudly and publicly, wherever and whenever it is possible. It does not matter if individuals plant their own people on various platforms to cause unrest or aim to make us stop. We will keep searching, keep asking questions, and we will not stop shedding light on the painful reality these animals face. I'm not sure how you celebrate Christmas, but I certainly won't be wishing you a joyful time. You have taken so much away from two families and others, leaving them to suffer.